I believe in long-term relationships. So it's not about the one sale. It's about making the client an ambassador for you for the rest of his life. I believe today, if you'd like to market yourself and you would like to be authentic, then you need to talk not just about your success, but also about your failures and about your lab hours, because people see the success, they don't see the lab hours, you don't see the amount of no you hear and the weekends you walk in and nights you walk in and the failures. And I always tell my clients, you should act in front of your community like you are Batman and not Superman.
Dr. Yaniv, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much, Elijah, for having me. I heard lots of your chapters and I love your podcast.
Thank you. I'm very excited to get into the conversation. We've got a lot to explore, but for anyone who doesn't know you, know your work, know your nickname of Dr. Persuasion, mind sharing a little bit about your background before we dive into it?
Yes, thank you. So I'm Dr. Yaniv Zaid. I'm 47 years old. I live in Tel Aviv in Israel. I'm married for the second time. I have two kids, 13 and 15. And my mission in life is to help people and companies to improve their marketing abilities, sales abilities, public speaking abilities, and negotiation abilities. I've been doing so for in the last 20 years. I provide business consulting to private companies, to small and medium businesses, to startups, how to increase their sales, how to build their brand, how to build a community, a large community. And also I wrote so far 11 books, 6 in Hebrew and 5 in English, that were translated so far to 10 languages and were sold in more than 300,000 copies worldwide. And I'm very proud in this achievement. My last book, my new release, it's called The 21st Century Sales Bible. It's now published in more than 10 languages, also in the United States, China, Russia, India, Vietnam, and more countries. And I help, among other things, authors to write books and sell books worldwide, lecturers to build their lecture and sell the lecture, startups, to build the startup, to build the community, and to sell and market their products and services, and anyone who would like to increase their income, both self-employed and employees.
So obviously quite the storied career so far, right? You have a lot of experience in talking about this topic, teaching about it. Why specifically? Let's go super basic fundamentals. Why does persuasion even matter?
Because you can be the best person you can be, but if you don't know how to market yourself, then you won't go through any job interview, and you won't get you won't get the position you want. You can have great products or great services, but if you don't know how to sell them or market them, then they will remain on the shelf and nobody will buy them. So my basic assumption is that you and me and everyone who hears us, we are great at what we do. We have great products, great services, great softwares, but if you don't know how to market them, how to persuade others, how to improve other people's life, then it doesn't matter, because we won't be able to sell them. And many startups, their failure is that they focus on the production, they focus on to build the product, and they don't care about the market. They don't even leave money for the market, for marketing or for sales. And when the product or software or hardware is ready, they don't have enough manpower, enough abilities, enough money to sell and market it, so they failed and they closed. So persuasion is making people change their mind regarding your ideas, regarding your products and services. Obviously, my basic assumption is, again, we're doing things only legally and only things that are going to improve other people's life. But again, one thing is to be professional, and the other thing is to know how to market yourself as a professional and as an authority.
So let's click on that a bit more, because I think that there is this natural aversion towards persuasion, towards sales, towards maybe even marketing, where it's perceived as you are convincing someone to do something that they didn't want to do before. And that is persuasion, right? Debate, persuasion. You talked to me offline a bit more about how you got into this through debate. And it's convincing someone, or almost arguing with someone. Maybe that's not a correct characterization, but convincing someone to change a belief that they currently have. And so the pushback that I think I've experienced personally, and I know many others that have experienced as well, is that this is something that's wrong, or it's dirty, or it's manipulation. So can you paint more color? You spend so much time writing about it, so much time thinking about it. Is this, where are the ethical boundaries of persuasion okay, manipulation not okay, and how do you determine if sales is manipulation versus persuasion tactics, and how do you kind of toe that line between both sides?
Yes, I divide sales into two. You have hard sale and soft sale. So hard sale is when I push the product and I tell you, well, you should buy now. You definitely should buy now, and I give you pain, and I tell you how bad your situation is now, and then maybe you buy, maybe you don't, but it's hard sale. And most people, when they identify today a hard sale, then immediately they start to defend themselves. Defense, started explaining themselves why they shouldn't buy, even if they need it. And there is the other definition of sales, it's soft sale. Soft sale is actually storytelling. I don't sell you anything, I just tell you stories and you buy. Which kind of stories? Stories about the product, stories about other clients, stories about myself, personal stories, stories about the service, stories about success, stories about failures, okay, as well. And then I tell you stories, and then I convince you, because stories is a pattern we all know. We all when we were born, people, like our parents, read stories to us, so we know what is story. So when I tell you story, it's a soft sale. Actually, I explain to you something in a nice manner, in an authentic manner. And again, I think the boundaries is, if I believe you need my product or service, I will try to persuade you. If I think you are not my ideal client, you don't need this, maybe it won't even improve your life, even the opposite, then I won't sell it to you. So I think this is the definition. I guess anyone who can hear us, we know our boundaries. Okay, we know we have products, we have services, we know who they can help and who they can't help. So sometimes even a client wants to buy the product, if it's not for him, then we won't sell him. On the other hand, if you have a client that we think that he needs the product and he's now in a comfort zone and he doesn't think so, so we try to convince him. By the way, it's not with we won't threaten him with a gun. So if they won't buy, then they won't buy. Maybe they're not up to it now. Maybe they'll come back a few months from now, few years from now, when they're ready. But we need to try to do our best if we believe that our products and ideas and services are good for other people and improve humanity.
I think that's a really good I've asked people this question before, and I've thought about it myself, and the breakdown between hard selling and soft selling. I think that's a very clear line. We've all seen or experienced the used car salesperson that's, oh, you need this car, oh, it's so great, buy it now, oh, I'll give you such a good discount, and you feel pushed, right? And maybe it's effective, maybe it's not, but it's a very different state than someone who is like, oh, well, let me talk through you about this, and who are you, and oh, well, maybe this makes sense. So between hard and soft selling, I think that's a very good characterization between the two types. But then also, I think something that you answered that I've struggled to articulate before myself is the difference between the ethical side of it, right? So persuasion versus the unethical, and maybe that's manipulation, and I don't know the exact definitions. But the difference is, do you believe, you the person participating in the persuasion, trying to persuade someone to your side, truly believe, genuinely believe that what you are, the new idea, the new product, the new concept, whatever you're trying to persuade in, will help that person? And this aligns well with, I've started to learn a bit about sales in the past couple of years. And I think one of the best frames of references from a book that I learned or I read was to look at sales as if you're a doctor. And so if this person has a gap in their life or they're missing something, and the thing that you have that they don't know about is going to make their life better, you almost have a moral duty to try to help them to take the medicine that's going to help them, again, save their life is a dramatic example, but maybe make their life a lot better. And if you truly believe in what you're selling, truly believe in the product, truly believe in the book, the story, whatever, then it's almost a moral obligation to try to persuade them and encourage them and support them to be comfortable with signing up for the gym membership, because they're going to be healthier if they do, and they're going to feel better about themselves, whatever it is. So I think you characterize those two things very well in a succinct way.
Thank you. I believe in long-term relationships. So it's not about the one sale. It's about making the client an ambassador for you for the rest of his life. Okay. So if I believe if I don't think you need something and I manage to sell it to you. Okay. So I do it once and then you are disappointed and then you feel sorry and then you maybe talk dirty about me and you won't come back and you won't, anyone from your environment won't come back. Okay. So for the long term, I did something wrong. Okay. So even if you're talking about my interest is for you to be satisfied, to be happy, and come back again and again, and be a good ambassador for me. And it won't work if I sell you something you don't need. So if you mentioned by the cars, so it's a good example, because firstly, I would like to listen to you. I would like to understand your needs and your problems, and what and your pains, and what kind of car would you like, and why do you need the car, and which car are you driving now. And then I can adapt the relevant car for you. I won't just take a regular same model and sell it to many different people who have maybe different needs. So if I sell the problem before I sell the solution, then I can adapt the solution to your exact problems or to exact needs, and then you will be satisfied for the long term.
Yeah, I think that's very acutely solving the problem that a person experiences, rather than trying to get the person to buy the thing that you have. And there's a very different style and approach to conversations when you approach from different ways. Why do you think hard selling exists? I mean, obviously it must be effective on some level. Where does that come from? Is it still a skill that you should master on some level? Or do you believe that it's a bad tactic and should never be used?
Well, it's a tool. So marketing and sales, it's a tool. It can be a weapon for good or for bad. So for example, our mind works in a similar way. So hard sell exists because it's effective. Because if I know how your brains work, okay, and I know which buttons to push, okay, and which pains, to show you, and to make you feel bad about yourself, okay, then I can sell to you almost anything. But I believe today, we record this in 2024, so today sales is about inspiration and not desperation. So hard sell is desperation, okay? I need to make you maybe feel bad about yourself or about your current life, and to see the gap, and would like to narrow the gap, and then the solution is my product, even if it's the same product for everyone, okay? And inspiration is for me telling you, okay, your life is good. I don't care about your life now, but if you need to achieve something, if you need to to have to improve your life, then you can use my product in order to improve your life. So inspiration versus desperation, I think this is another definition of let's say good sales and bad sales.
You said sales right now is more about inspiration. What do you mean by that?
I mean that in 2024, people have maybe let's say a fake radar or bullshit radar, that things that worked 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they don't work anymore. I've been doing this for 20 years, including marketing writing. I write scripts, sales scripts. I write landing pages for companies, for organizations, websites. So you don't write the same like you did 10, 20 years ago. You don't talk the same. Maybe some things like you did 5 or 10 years ago. You say, oh, look how good my life is. I'm successful. I have a model girlfriend. I live in a penthouse, on the 20th floor. Look how great my life is. So come and learn from me. It doesn't work anymore. I don't believe it was very effective 20 years ago, but it doesn't work anymore. In fact, today we're talking about inspiration, not desperation. And I told you about stories about failures as well. So I believe today, if you'd like to market yourself and you would like to be authentic, then you need to talk not about just about your success, but also about your failures and about the lab hours, because people see the success, they don't see the lab hours, you don't see the amount of no you hear, and the weekends you walk in, and nights you walk in, and the failures. And I always tell my clients, you should act in front of your community like you are Batman and not Superman. Now, what is the difference between Batman and Superman? They are both superheroes and they both look like human beings. But Superman is not actually a human being. He came from another planet. And Batman is a regular person who developed unique powers by himself. So if Superman would deliver a workshop for me, how to fly. Okay, there is a workshop how to fly, and I bought the VIP ticket and I sit in the first row and I write everything and I listen to everything. And he says to me, go to the roof, 20th floor, look at the wind, check the wind, check your first step, something like that. And I will do exactly what he said. I will fall because I'm not superpower. Don't have superpowers. I'm just a regular person. But if Batman will do the same workshop, how to fly, and he will tell me, Yaniv, I was once like you. I was worse than you. My shape was worse than you because the Joker killed my parents when I was young, when I was a kid, and I was afraid of the dark, and I fell into a cave, and I was afraid of bats. And then I taught myself how to fly, and now I'm working to teach you. Now I can relate to this guy. I can identify with him. I can say, okay, if he did it and his life maybe were worse than mine, and he can fly now, then I want to learn from this man. Okay, so if you try to talk about yourself like you are a superhuman, you don't have mistakes, you're flawless, something like that. People, it doesn't work in 2024. People won't identify to it. They don't want to buy from it. They feel lousy with themselves. Again, the desperation. And if you talk about the journey you did, and failures and struggle and success, then people can relate to it. There is a line in high-tech companies. There is a line of lectures. It's called fuck up nights. What is fuck up nights? Is entrepreneurs talking about their failures in front of other entrepreneurs. Now there is something that makes me funny, because it makes me laugh, because it's usually stories about, okay, my first company, I lost $10 million. My second company, I closed it and I got divorced. My fourth company is PayPal or Facebook. Okay, usually you don't hear stories like, in my first company, I lost $10 million of investors. My second company, I closed it and got divorced. And today, I'm homeless. I work with, in a shop, like as a seller or something like that. Usually, it's a failure, success. But people, they like to hear about the stories, okay, about the success stories and about the failures. And this is how you become human and authentic, and people will listen to you. And then you can create a community around you and around your company.
Yeah, I think that there's so much wisdom in that, and I think there's so much bias towards success, and I don't know if that's more of a Western ideology or if it's just human nature. But we are embarrassed for some reason, and again, maybe it's societal, maybe it's not, about failure. And so you are naturally more prone to want to talk about your success, right? You're more prone to talk about the things that went well, or the baseball game that you won, or the time you talked to your boss and it was a great negotiation, not the time where they beat you up or you lost the argument. Or so we're naturally, even in our own personal lives, prone to share things that make us look better. And then if you scale it up from entrepreneurs or idols or celebrities, whoever you look up to, the same Instagram influencers, right? You see this veneer of, let me show just success, let me project out the success, because it gives the sharer more self-confidence. It's false, but it's more self-confidence in, oh, well, I look so good. And then the consumer wants to think that we all like fairy tales, right? We love fairy tales. We've been told stories growing up that people, there's this magical wedding or this magical event, or the knight in shining armor is going to come and save you. And so we want this kind of fantasy land and this fantasy ideal of perfection. And yet reality is the fuck up, and then co-founder PayPal, right? Like that is far more real. Or 40 fuck ups and I'm still trying to find that success, which is also still very real. And so, yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in kind of what you talked about, of just, if you do share, you become more relatable because you are more human. You are more Batman-like than Superman-like.
Yeah,
And that gives a path for people to relate to you and connect with you.
On social media, you have lots of, people call today Facebook fake book, because on social media, you have the Facebook illusion. The Facebook illusion is that if you look at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, so everyone looks happy, and they're always great. And if I go with my wife to Paris, for example, for the trip, and we fight all the time, when we fight, I don't, upload the story. But the 15 minutes we don't fight, I will take a picture of us with the Eiffel Tower in the back, in a background, and then I will upload the story with some hearts, and I will say, feeling excited in Paris or something like that. And then my neighbors look at the picture and say, oh, this guy, what a great marriage he has. I go with my wife, we fight all the time. What is their secret, But actually, again, in 2024, it doesn't work anymore. Where people don't believe that everyone is successful. And also, if I'm successful and I will tell you my Cinderella story, okay, or what I've been through, okay, and also I am successful now, then you appreciate me more than if I, for example, just went into became successful from day one. By the way, also if you look at bestseller movies or bestseller books, there is always the hero's journey. That the hero didn't want to be a hero. Okay, you see, Lord of the Ring, or Die Hard, or Rambo, Rocky, whatever. They didn't took the place and said, well, I would like to save the world. Okay, usually they just live their normal life, and then someone came and decided, Matrix, Neo, you are the one. I'm not the one. You are the one. Morpheus tried to convince him all the time in the movie. You are the one. You are the one. And usually this is what we can relate. A hero that didn't want to be a hero and was forced to be a hero in order to save the world. Okay, he didn't just moved everyone aside and said, look, I'm the best. I will take care of the world. No. He had a journey, and life is a journey. Like you said, it's maybe a failure, a success, or maybe a failure, and I'm still looking for the way, and I'm trying to have guides that can show me the way, and I will be more related to someone who also had failures in life. And if you look even bestseller books, for example, Donald Trump, before he became president, before he was before the show The Intern, he wrote a book about negotiation in the 80s. Okay, now he was an entrepreneur, a real estate guy. He was second generation, and he was a millionaire when he was born a millionaire. So if he just wrote a book about negotiation, if he was a New Yorker millionaire, then it doesn't. Nobody cares. You know why? Because you have thousands of you just in New York, millionaires who were born to money. Okay. But what was interesting in the book that he was a millionaire, and then he got bankrupt. He managed to lose all his money, and then he became again multimillionaire, and then with a unique talent, he managed to lose again his money, and then he became another millionaire. Okay, that's just interesting because you say, okay, this guy twice he was bankrupt, and twice he managed to rise again and to become a multimillionaire. This is what made the book bestseller book. So even if you're talking about bestseller books or bestseller movies, we're also looking for the failures, not just the success.
That's very, very interesting. And yeah, it makes people, if there's this hero that you can't relate to, then it's less attractive and less interesting, versus if you could imagine yourself going through that hero's journey, immediately have more rapport and more relation. Let's bring it back to the tactical. If someone doesn't have any experience with persuasion, or very little, I think everyone has some experience to it, because you talk to your teacher and you try to convince them that you didn't do your homework, we have a really good reason, right? That's persuasion, right? So we've all have some exposure to it. But maybe someone who's not familiar with it, or wants kind of a step-by-step playbook or breakdown, is there such a thing, or is it contextual? Is there kind of advice that you can say, start here, do these steps, and then this is the way to kind of soft sell or persuade, whether it's looking for a raise or trying to convince your partner of watching the movie that you want to watch rather than the movie that they want to watch? What does this look like from a tactical perspective?
Yeah, first of all, there are formulas. I teach the formulas both in my books and my lectures, and we all sell all the time. If you're married, you sold yourself at least once. If you're married twice, then you sold twice. You sell all the time. You sell to your kids. You sell to a lady. You sell to the teacher when we are kids. To our parents, all the time you sell. Maybe you don't call it sell. For example, I also teach in the university, and when you look how the academy treats sales, it's like, it's something evil, like you said, manipulation or something like that. But universities, okay, even Ivy League schools, okay, what they teach you, they sell all the time. What is second degree? It's upsell. You completed your first degree, then they sell you the second degree. What is PhD? And I did PhD, okay. PhD is again the upsell or cross sell, okay. And what is scholarship? Scholarship is actually a discount. Okay, you exceeded, you're excellent at your school, you have 20% off, scholarship, 20% off next year. I got you a discount of 20%. But when I talk to professors about this, I say, no, scholarship is not a discount. Second degree is not upsell. No, it's exactly, it's upsell. I sell you more of the same. Now, about the tactical practical tools, first of all, you need to define your targets. You need to say, what do you want to achieve? If you have a meeting, for example, if you have a sales conversation, if you have a presentation, if you're meeting an investor, meeting a client, meeting a vendor, no matter what, you need to identify what are your targets. If I would like to raise money, how much money do I want, and how many stocks am I willing to give for it? If I would like, raise in my salary, how much money do I want? Okay, and why do I think I deserve this kind of raise? Okay, so again, you need to identify your targets. Now, this is something that it sounds easy, but most people, they don't do it. Most people, lecturers come to me, let's build the lecture. Okay, so I say to them, okay, so what is the target? What is the purpose of the lecture? What would you like it to be at the end? At the best case scenario. Now, usually this is the first time to think about it. Okay, so because they had a mission or they had a job to write a lecture, they didn't even think what should happen at the end of the lecture. So first, identify your targets. Then you need to think about the other side if you'd like to convince someone to sell to someone, to see it from their perspective, because most people, they think about themselves. I will tell the stories that interest me. I will talk about my needs, my problems, my comfort zone. And no, I think I need to think about the other side. What questions they will ask me, what kind of objections I will get, what are their needs, their answers, to get inside their head. Actually,
And specifically on that, I just want to push you a little bit more there. So the instinct, if I'm hearing correctly, the instinct is to talk about whatever I want to talk about.
yeah.
But you're saying get inside of their head. And are you trying to, what is it, understand their needs or understand their how they see the world? Like, what are you trying to exactly understand
I
prior to
try
the
to
conversation?
identify their needs, their interests, their problems, their pains. And again, I'm not a psychic. I'm not just trying to read their minds. I ask them. I talk to them. I listen to them. I really listen to them. Part of persuasion, part of marketing itself is really listen to the client, to understand the client. And then to understand that each one is different and each one is motivated from other needs and interests. And then only when I understand the client and I understand the needs, then I can sell my product as a solution to your problems or answer to your needs or a cure to your pain. But it's against our instinct, because our instinct is to talk. By the way, if my instinct is to listen, then usually I will be a mediator or a psychologist or psychiatrist, something like that. Usually people who are going to be managers or salespersons or lecturers, they like to talk. I love to talk, you love to talk. We make money from our talking. Okay, but against my instinct, I need to listen in order to be a better salesperson and a marketing person. So define your target audience, who are you going to talk to, because you can't sell to anyone, you can't talk to anyone. You need to differentiate the target audience, and you need to understand, know your audience, and then listen to them, understand the needs, and only then you can talk about what they're interested in. And another tool, like I mentioned before, is talk also about failures, not just success. Be authentic, because people try very hard, maybe to sometimes. Some digital Facebook campaign guy told me that people work very hard on Facebook to be authentic. Now I told him this, it's the thing is the opposite. I work very hard to be authentic, but what he meant that I take 200 pictures and then I look all over the pictures and then I pick the most pretty one, and then I Photoshop it and then I upload it. So this is extreme. The other extreme is maybe when I wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm very tired and I take pictures and say, oh, yeah, I'm authentic, I now woke up. People don't care about it. So, you need to have the balance, to be authentic, but you can plan something, but still be authentic. So you need to find this balance. I guess if you're authentic, that people will buy from you, identify with you, talk more about you, and appreciate you more as a professional authority.
Super helpful to kind of break it down like that. Where does kind of that translate to representing a company or brand? If you're a startup and you're trying to persuade people one to many, right, through marketing, through social media, through whatever form, to use your product, to be aware of your product, and then to also convince people to use it, how does that playbook change or adapt versus doing it as an individual? Or is the answer that we're living in a world where people buy from people, not companies and brands, and so you should just build a personal brand, lean into that, and then sell your company and start up through that?
So both answers are true. First of all, people buy from people, not before they buy products or services, they buy from people, because we talked about long-term relationships. So even if I buy software or a car or medicine or something to wear from you, then I buy from you. If I don't trust you, if I don't know you, if I don't believe in you, then I won't buy even a shirt, because I would like to know that I can go back to your store and replace the shirt. I need to know that I can go back, and buy another shirt from you. That if you sold me the car, there won't be some things you didn't mention about the car. If I buy software for you, that it won't shut down my computer tomorrow. So I need to believe in you, and this is why salesperson, they need to build their own identity and professionalism. Now, this is one hand. On the other hand, I'll also, if I have a product or software or hardware or something, and I would like to sell it, I need to explain to people what is the problem. Because if there is no problem, they don't need a solution. And most startups, I tell you, I have a new app that will help people connect better, and in few seconds to find the spouse or something like that. Okay, let's talk about alternatives. There are solutions today. Okay, people, they get together, they meet other people. So what do they do now? Okay, and is this a problematic situation? Is there something wrong with the way they do it now? Because if everything is great, then you don't need my new app. Okay, but if there is something wrong with the market, or there is some vacuum, there's some thing that people are not truly happy, or there is other apps but they don't provide solution for everyone, and my app is taking the 20% that doesn't have solution today, and I give solution for them, then okay, then I got a business. But if you can't identify the problem, that you can sell me the solution. It's good for what I said now. It's good for every product, especially for startups, because startups, I create something new and I would like to change the world. But if the world is good enough, then I don't need to, it doesn't need to be changed. Even if it does need to be changed, then people will rather stay in their comfort zone and tell you, well, I don't need it. I know you talk about a lot in your podcast about AI, for example, and other tools. So if everything is good now, then I don't need AI, I don't need your software, I don't need your app, I don't need anything. But if you can explain to me how it's going to improve my life, and we talked about, again, inspiration, not desperation, then I'm willing to listen to you at least. And if I think it's a good idea, then I am going to invest in you.
Well said. You brought up AI. Do you have thoughts, concerns about this new form of communication or tool or whatever you want to call it, where we can now have computers communicate in a pretty close degree to what humans can do, maybe better in certain regards versus the average person? And also, we know the history of technology, which grows exponentially in terms of improvements. So at some point in the future, we're going to have Gen AI that is better than humans at persuasion, at anything probably. Does this concern you at all? Or have you spent much time thinking about the tools and how persuasion changes in a world where everything can now be customized and we have a custom voice and you can talk to a computer and it's talking to you in, it knows all of your data about Facebook, it knows all your data about Instagram, it knows your entire history, maybe it knows your medical records, and then it's able to talk to you in a very convincing way that one human doesn't have as much context?
I treat AI as a tool. And now, like we said about persuasion, you can use this tool for better or for worse, okay? But this is not just a tool. And I say it carefully, but we are again in 2024, so things might be changing in the next few years. But I'm not worried, because I think that human beings, we have the secret ingredient, of human feeling that AI is not yet to follow. So, for example, if you recruit people, if you're in a recruitment business, then you can identify when you got a CV, a resume of someone that AI wrote or a person wrote. Okay, if you're professional enough and you see lots of a resume. Okay, so it's like marketing writing. Okay, I teach marketing writing. I deliver workshops of marketing writing, and I also teach AI about it. And AI is a tool. AI is a tool that can help you if you don't have something to write on. You can start getting an idea with AI, but eventually you can't close the circle. You can't have an AI write an entire article for you, okay, and it will be good enough, like a human being, if you're a professional. Like if you're mediocre, AI can replace you even today. For example, I'm also a lawyer, and I have PhD in law, and I'm an economist. So if, for example, lawyer, if you ask me for a contract, for a lease contract, and then I would just take one contract from the internet, for example. So I'm mediocre as a lawyer, and then AI can replace me, because AI also can take some patterns of agreements from the internet. But if I have some unique perspective, I have some, again, a secret ingredient, I have some understanding what you need exactly, and I can identify it for you, then I can write a contract that AI still can't write. So I guess if you're a professional, and I encourage people to be professional at what they do and to become an expert. So if you're an expert, if you're a brand, then you will always have the edge over AI. So this is why I'm not worried. I think people, we need to get better. Okay, if you're mediocre, then AI can replace you. But if you're good at what you do, you don't need to worry. You need to keep developing all the time. Okay, I believe that every expert is also a student, and you need to learn all the time, and you learn all the time, and we need to self-improve all the time. If you do that, you don't have anything to worry.
I would agree in that. I think AI is definitely just a tool, just like technology is a tool. And the history of technology is replacing jobs. So the fear that exists is, it's not baseless, right? There is merit to that fear of, is AI going to replace us and replace jobs? However, the reality always is that it replaces jobs that people typically don't want or aren't as needed as they used to be, or the bottom X percent, 10%, 30% of not experts, right? Or mediocre people at that job. And that's not necessarily an answer that people want to hear, because it does mean that there will be workforce displacement, but it's something that typically shifts over time. When say 10 people leave this industry, there aren't going to be 10 new people that enter into it. Maybe there are only 2 that enter into it, or 5 that enter into it. And so it's not like, those 10 people are fired and then those jobs never exist again. It's people will exit it and there will be less demand for people to kind of backfill those roles. And that's how we have this shift of progress of technology. Yes, there is some displacement. Yes, there is some, job loss. But there's also this overall bringing up. Technology historically brings up the quality of life of society overall, and we have this advancement in technology and health and communication, and there are downsides to it at times when it moves too fast, like social media. Maybe it's considered a negative for the past 10 years, but it can also turn into this thing of great connectivity and communication across any boundary for basically free. So yeah, I would agree with you that AI is another tool. It's going to maybe replace mediocre workers in certain fields, but it's also going to not replace everyone, and it's going to be a tool that is incorporated, and you should learn to work with it, not against it.
This is why you need to invest in yourself. I think if you have some money, I always tell my clients, you have some money, you need to focus on where to invest it. Invest in yourself. Your improvement, your self development. Because if I become a better person all the time, a better speaker, a better consultant, a better my products will be better. Better husband, better father, everything. Then it will be good for my environment. It will also good for me. And then the AI, the technology will always be a tool that I can use, and it's not a tool that we can replace me.
Dr. Zaid, this is a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. If people want to connect with you, learn more about you, find your books, where should they go?
My website, first of all, thank you very much. I enjoyed very much. So my website is drpersuasion.com, drpersuasion.com. And you can you can write on Google, Google me, Yaniv Zaid, Yaniv Zaid. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the social media. And my book, The 21st Century Sales Bible, is on bookstores in the United States, North America, and worldwide, online and offline. And you can write an email to me, or to text me, even WhatsApp, or call me. My mobile is 972-54-088-1200. And my email is Yaniv@yanivzaid.com. It's YANIV@yanivzaid.com. You can write me whatever you want, and I will answer any question you may have, and any idea you would like to share with me. I will be happy to answer.
Every single form of communication laid out for you. No excuses not to talk to Yaniv. Thank you so much again. This is wonderful.
Thank you, Elijah. Thank you very much.